Kellas, and this is a story. It was Saturday morning. I was supposed to go to my second grief support group meeting, but it was so depressing the first time I went. I decided to go for a drive instead. I'd never been to San Diego, so that's where I headed. Just as I reached Irvine, though, it started raining. My Miata's plastic rear window was messed up, and the rain started coming in the car. I thought, well, I've never been to Irvine either, and got off at the next exit. I ended up at a huge mall. I went into a craft store and bought some poof balls and twisty pipe cleaners for my 4-year-old nephew. When I came back out, the sun was shining. Since it was nice out, I decided to explore Irvine. I took one random turn and then another, hoping to happen upon the city's interesting part. But it seemed that each new street was more boring than the last. I finally wound up on a road full of business parks. There was no one else around. That is, except for the cop behind me. He turned his lights on and I pulled over. Do you know why I pulled you over? Yes, it's my expired sticker, isn't it? But I have the paperwork here. I reached into my glove compartment and pulled out a wad of papers. I started going through them, looking for the one saying I had paid my registration and just needed my car to pass smog. Do you know where you are? He asked. I have no idea, I laughed. I was hoping maybe you could help me. You are in Irvine. Well, I knew that. Do you know where Irvine is? I have a vague idea. I was still rifling through my papers. Do you know what state you're in? Yes. It suddenly hit me that he wasn't being too friendly. He cleared his throat, and I looked up. You still haven't told me what state you're in. California. That is correct. I found the paper and handed it to him. Could you tell me the way back to the 405? Not so fast. When I pulled you over, it wasn't just because of your expired sticker. It wasn't? I saw you coming out of the shopping mall. You kept making turns and you wound up here. Can you explain that? I got lost. I always get lost. What did you buy in the mall? I opened the bag so that he could see the poof balls and pipe cleaners. You came to Irvine to buy that? Well, no. I didn't really come here for any reason. You realize, don't you, that your behavior is not normal? It is for me. He looked at my license. It says you live in Marina del Rey. I just moved there a few months ago. Yet, now you are in Irvine. What I want to know is, why would someone who lives in Marina del Rey come to Irvine for no reason? I shrugged. Listen, I want you to recite the alphabet without singing. Do you understand? I recited the alphabet. Do you realize how fast you recited that? That was not normal. Are you on any medication? I'm on Ritalin. Okay, I'm going to have to ask you to step out of the car. He gestured at 2 short Asian cops standing a few yards away. They're in training. Ignore them. It seemed as if nothing better would suit them, as if they were both staring at the ground. He then had me do a series of drunk driving tests. I was wearing heels, which bothered him. He asked me to take them off, but I refused. He insisted, and I kicked them off. After I successfully passed his ballet tests, he shone a flashlight up my nose. Did you know you have a deviated septum? No, because I don't. Yes, you do. I'm trained to spot them. Did you know a deviated septum is a sign of cocaine use? For those of you who don't know me, the idea of me doing cocaine is ridiculous. I was so angry, my heart was pounding. Look, he said, I specialize in detecting drug addicts, and I'm afraid you fit all the criteria. You don't know where you are. I was joking. You are on Ritalin. I have ADHD. I've been on it for years. Well, in my experience, people who take Ritalin take it when they can't get cocaine. And you live in Marina del Rey. Yet, now you are in Irvine, for no good reason. I was just going for a drive. I like driving. No one just drives to Irvine. Well, I know that now. Finally, you have a deviated septum. Look, my mom died a few months ago, and I'm still a bit stressed out. I thought if I went for a drive, it would make me feel better. I despised myself for mentioning it, but I was really starting to worry I'd wind up in the slammer. The cop studied me for a moment. Then he said, "I'm sorry, but I know people who have lost a parent. And do you know that not one of them, just out of the blue, decided to drive to Irvine?" He grabbed my wrist. "I'm going to take your pulse now, if you don't mind." He looked at his watch, then announced, "Your pulse is really, really fast. Dangerously fast." "That's because I'm really, really annoyed. Look, I don't think it's safe for you to drive with that fast pulse rate. That pulse rate indicates a bad reaction to drugs. It's no use trying to fool me. I'm trained to recognize people like you. It'd be better if you just told me when you last took the cocaine." "I have never done cocaine." "I see. Well, I'd like to know how you got that deviated septum then. I'm going to have to ask to search your car. Officer Wong and Officer Chen will take down your information." While he rummaged through my car, I told the trainees my job and contact information. They seemed so uncomfortable, it made me feel a bit better. Oh, and by the way, my friend Beth yelled at me later, letting him search my car. "Don't you know he could have planted something on you?" After returning empty-handed, he asked, "Has whatever you've taken worn off enough for you to drive safely? I don't want to be responsible for you getting in an accident and killing an innocent person." Once more, I said I hadn't taken drugs and that my septum was not deviated. "For your sake, I hope you're telling the truth." Then he let me go. Later, I asked my friend, who is a hospital intern, to look at my septum. She said it's not deviated. The end.